Hi everybody. I decided to do another presentation, a little recording for you about the project specifically because we're getting close to that, and you've got the right to have questions about it, and thought I'd answer those before it started to drive you crazy. So these are the announcements from before. No changes here. You can see how it works, but the things that matter to us this time are, let's see, the group project proposal and these things. This is about the group project that you're going to do for the class. And so let's talk about that. And so you've seen this before, nothing new here. Let's see, so I'm recommending using BigQuery just because it's so easy to work with and it's right there. Exporting your data from BigQuery to Data Looker Studio is really easy. So you get the combination of the public data sets, which are great, and attached to a presentation package that allows you to visualize the results of your queries. That's a really good combination. So anyhow, you can create an interactive dashboard or not. I'll let you do just a presentation of results. That's okay too. And let's see, group sizes between 1 and 4. 5 is our hard limit with Azure DevOps, but as you know, as the groups get bigger, it gets harder to get everybody together. And I'm always dubious about big groups because I don't think that the work that gets done by bigger groups is necessarily better than the work that gets done by smaller groups. So if I were you, I would say keep your group size between like 2 and 3. Now, if you have a tough time finding anybody that's interested in the same things that you are, and you want to do your own project, is that okay? Yeah, that's okay. You can have a group size of 1. You can throw a party for your group or something like that and have a group size of 1. But it's better to work with a group and turn the project into something where you learn more about group work and how to facilitate that group work and how groups do things, and that's better. But I'll accept group sizes of 1 because it's a distance class, and I know it's hard, and that's the way it goes. But anyhow, let's keep on going. So project ideas. I like this format of telling a story with data. I think that's a powerful format for you guys to use, and really beneficial in terms of getting you something that's really useful for your career. So it can be a combination of text and graphics, organized to have a beginning, middle, and end. You can do that. That's kind of the other format of an interactive dashboard. If you think about it from the perspective of if you're working for a government agency and they have a question that they want you to figure out the answer to, that's kind of what this format is, and that's fine. Let's see, should be related to your final capstone. Everything that you do in your master's degree should be related to your final capstone. Hopefully you've got an idea of what you want to do with your life, and you're using this master's degree to get you started in that direction. And that's the best of all possible scenarios. But if not, if this is a one-off, well, you never know what you'll be interested in later on. So there you go. Should be interesting to your team. If you've got a team of more than 1, find something that's interesting to everybody. That's a better approach. And if you need some help coming up with ideas or something, just let me know. I'm happy to chat with you and see how it goes. Now, how does the process work? Process is important, and there's a process associated with this. So The project starts out with a proposal. Now, I want you to use Azure DevOps for this just because it's a good tool that you should get used to working with. Here's my interface to Azure DevOps. You can see my URL up here. Sometimes it can be a little confusing getting to the right spot in Azure DevOps. You know, it's a big tool. It's also the interface for all of the Azure cloud computing tools. So, yeah, it can be a pain. But this is my interface, and that's about all I can give you is how I get there. As an RIT student, you get free access to this, so remember you're going to have to log in with your RIT account, and once you get to your Azure DevOps, you can choose a project. And here's just an illustrative project here. And this is the project summary. Okay, project summary about this project. You can edit that and you can turn it into what you need it to be. Now, there's one project setting that you really should do. And that's this one here, the process that you're going to use for this. I like to use Agile. They have several other processes that you can use too, but that's what I generally use. So that's the one project setting that you need to do. Everything else is pretty straightforward. Let's see, let me go back to here. And like I said, you can edit this. Now, we'll talk about what goes in there, but you know, we'll talk about that in a second. The other thing that you want to do is to look at the boards that are available here. I don't know how much I have in here, but you can add work items, you can create backlogs, you can create sprints, you can do all that kind of stuff. All I really want for you to get out of using this is to think about taking the work that needs to be done and to turn it into a series of steps, a series of work items. Now, how you do that, you know, is up to you. I'm gonna, you know, not get into this with you because it's well, whatever. But anyhow, so use this among your team. If you've got a team of 3 or 4, you can say, well, why don't you work on this? I'll work on this. I'll work on this. And then you can use Azure DevOps to keep track of that. And on the boards for the work, let's see. I'm going to say cancel. On the boards from here, you can set it up so that you can, let me see if it'll let me. I don't think it will. You can set it up so that you can have certain work items are listed as to do, some are in process or doing, and others are done. That's a great way for you all to communicate together as a group so that you so that you can work your way through your project, okay? Not looking for huge stuff out of Azure DevOps, but you know, I would like you to give it a try and see how it works. Say discard changes. So I can get out of this page. Other thing, you'll notice that printing in Azure DevOps is a little challenging. Now, maybe you could send it to just print the web page as a PDF or something, or you can do screen captures out of this. Whatever works is fine by me. I'm not a real stickler about that stuff, but whatever works is fine by me. Use it to document what you've written about this project, which is really your project proposal. So in the proposal, what should you do? Well, it's due by the 1st, and I'll give you feedback by the 3rd, so as quick as I can. Have an introduction. What's the question you want to investigate, and why do you want to investigate this question? That's 2 parts to that question. What do you want to do, and why? What do you want to do? Well, that's just telling me what your project's all about. But the why part really determines the how do I know when you're done. Why do you want to do this determines what you do, because what you want to get out of it is determined by how you approach it. And so think about what it is that you want and come up with a decent question there, at least as best you can. If you haven't taken the proposal development course yet, do your best. It's okay. Not going to kill anybody on this one. The literature review. Well, because you have to do an academic project at the end of this, you need to know something about literature. But what I'm really looking for out of this is what's the background information I need to understand as it relates to your question. Another way to approach it is what similar projects have other people done in this area. But, what should I know? You can't take it for granted that I know as much as you do about this project before you start. So what should I know? Data sources. What data is available to help with your question? What's your plan for the data sets that you plan to use? What's the provenance of the data? Where did this data come from? We've got a lot of mis and disinformation around these days. That's why we always have to be really careful about where's the data come from that we're using here. Following steps are linked together. You want to have a methodology. How are you going to do what you plan to do? And that you can do in your boards through a series of work items and, blah, blah, blah. And that methodology really is a series of steps. At the end of each step, something is changed. That something is a deliverable. So each step in your methodology creates something new in the world. That's the deliverable for that step. Now, the next part of the methodology, methodology are the deliverables. What is it that's going to happen? What are you going to show me? What are you going to do? Each deliverable to create something new in the world takes time to complete. Take these times together, form your project plan. Now, your project plan is a meta-analysis of your project, including timeline and what parts will be hard and what parts will be easy. Gantt charts are useful, but you don't have to. But those three things, each step in the methodology changes the world and creates a deliverable. But to get to that deliverable done, you have to think about, how long is it going to take? Now, you're going to be wrong, but that's okay. Just give me your best shot at it. Some things are going to be really easy. You're going to say, I'm just going to write this little blurb and, be done with it. Fine. That can take one day. Other things are going to be harder. Thinking about the queries that you use to generate and to get the data, the result set that you want out of the project, out of the public data set that you want, that's probably going to take a little while. But once you get it over to Data Looker Studio, that'll probably go pretty fast. So you may only need 2 or 3 days for that. And that may be one of the people in your group really likes to do that kind of stuff. In which case, give that to them to put that together. Maybe the way you divide the work up is that one person does the writing, the other person does the SQL, and the third person does the data visualization stuff. That's fine. That's probably a pretty good way to do it. And then you can feedback, show each other your work and all those things. And the writing can, start at the beginning and go all the way to the end of the project, to the completion of the project report. The SQL starts at the beginning and then kind of tails off once they've, got the results set together and exported it to Data Looker Studio. So, there's ways to make this into a realistic, regular project that I think you can do using the tools that we have together. So project presentation, what comes out of this are two deliverables. One is a presentation which I will share with the other members of the class so that everybody can see what you've been doing. You know, people are going to be curious and you know, just want to see what you came up with. And that can be recorded to YouTube or any other place. I don't care. Give me a URL. I'll just post the URL, and you know, hopefully everybody can click on the URL, watch your presentation. That's my goal. And so, you know, whatever video site you want to do is fine. Generally speaking, people ask me about outlines for the presentation. This is generally kind of what I might think about doing, in that you want to always have a title page with your names on it and that kind of stuff. And then when you present to adults, adults are always looking at the door. They want to get out as quickly as they possibly can. So having an agenda in there, which just is an outline of what are you going to talk about, that, you know, helps adults to not be quite as itchy about getting out the door, because they kind of know when you're going to be done. Then you have an introduction to your question, because, you know, that's important. Introduce your question. What are you interested in? What did you want to look at? Background information, including how the question has been addressed by others, if there are such things out there. You don't have to go into great detail on those, just, you know, a little bit. And then a discussion of whatever dashboard or presentation you've come up with. And then last but not least is this idea of future research. What future research is, another way to think about it, is that if your uncle's brother's cousin, you know, whatever, was coming to RIT and they asked you, gee, when you take that database course, what project should I do? You could say, well, I worked on this, and what I found was kind of interesting in that, you know, we could have gone in this direction. Future research. That's what that is. So nothing really complicated, just, you know, pointing your brother's uncle's cousin in the right direction. And last is the project report. And that report is due on 4:30 in my courses. There'll be an assignment in there for it. And what I want you to do is to explain the results, your results, in text. Generally speaking, that's kind of like a written version of your presentation. And it can be based in large part from the proposal, in that you've already outlined a lot of the things in the proposal that can be kind of cut and paste into the project report. Now the proposal is going to be in the future tense. I will do this, I will do that, we will do this, we will do that. But the project report is usually in the past tense. We did this, we did that, we saw this, we, did this. And so, that's one change. But other than that, it doesn't have to be that distinct from your proposal. Except maybe in that in the process of doing this, you probably changed a lot of things. You might have found new literature review sources. You might have changed the methodology that you used a little bit. The results, probably a little different than what you expected. And you might be thinking about future work in a different way than you did before. But, that's pretty much about it. So hopefully the project won't be a killer for you, but you've got probably 3 weeks to work on it. So, I do expect good quality work, but I'm giving you time to do that for me. So I don't think I'm asking too much. And this will be a good project for you. Use tools that you might end up using throughout your career, and certainly would be tools that would be great for your final capstone project. So that's all I've got for today. Take care, everybody. I'll talk